I'm going to change it to this other phone that I have. It's not as good of a phone, but we'll see if it actually works on here. The other thing that's happening is we're supposed to go to Osaka tomorrow, but my brother doesn't want to go after all because he's going to get this computer. And let's see here. Google Fi, install the Fi app. Oh, maybe I'll do it on the Play Store here. Google Fi app. I've been having a lot of issues, technical issues lately. And I think it partly is because, I know this sounds crazy, but we're at the tail end of the, what do you call it? Mercury in retrograde. And I usually try not to, like, buy into that kind of stuff, but supposedly on the 15th, in 2 days, it's all supposed to be done, right? So, yeah. By the way, where is it? Okay. Follow the let's see here. Open. Get started. I do kind of like that you can do a lot of this in chat, where you don't have to be on the phone. You just can be like chatting on a laptop. I like that better than actually talking in some ways, but maybe I should put some nice little music on here. Spotify. YouTube. See, what happened was they told me that I had to redo the operating system on my SE, right? And so I was trying to make room for it because my room is all out. And then I was just like, you know what, this is too complicated. I'm just going to see if I can just redo it on this phone. So let's see how it does. I'm still going to use this phone for a lot of stuff, but okay. No, actually, I don't need music on. Maybe I just need silence is what I need to get this stuff done. All right. Let's see, where is it? Okay, Google Fi. I better check my Wi-Fi connection here. Wi-Fi. Oh, it's on airplane mode. Or no, it's not. It's not on airplane mode. Good. Asia Hotel. Hey, what's up, man? Okay, so try again. Okay. Okay. It's doing this shit right here. Buffering shit. It's not a good day today. I wasted so much time today on this shit. Okay, so it says Doing a factory data reset on this motherfucker. What's up, Matthew?
After this person wrote me and said, Kevin, you never said anything. If you would have cried, I would have showed compassion. But you never did any of that. I thank God I did. I wrote back and said, I'll never tell you that you're hurting me. I'll never cry for you. Kidding me? How pretentious of you. I'll just judge you for what you show me and what you say to me. That's how I'm going to live my life.
Coding. But why coding? Well,
If you got 99% of your money, you'd still be a multi-billionaire. No. You have $138 billion. I can do that. Right.
Why is it taking so long for my phone to turn back on?
Get rid of 99. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better.
Esteemed colleagues, thank you for inviting me to this stress and depression management webinar. I'm honored and delighted to be here. Today, I would like to present to you the latest findings with regards to a specific subtype of abuse within intimate relationships known as narcissistic abuse. It is all the hype recently. There are millions of people discussing narcissistic abuse online, and it had penetrated the scholarly literature as well. My name is Sam Vaknin. I'm a visiting professor of psychology in Southern Federal University in Rostov-on-Don in Russia, and I'm a professor of finance and a professor of psychology in the outreach program of CIAPS, Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies. I'm also the author of Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited, and a host of other books about personality disorders. In 1995, I coined the phrase narcissistic abuse. And I felt the need to coin a new phrase because I wanted to describe a subtype of abusive behavior that was pernicious, nefarious, all-pervasive across multiple areas of life and involved a plethora of behaviors and manipulative or coercive techniques. Narcissistic abuse was not like all other types of abuse. It differed from other types of abuse in its range, in its sophistication, in its duration, in its versatility, express and premeditated intention to negate and to vitiate the victim's personal autonomy, agency, self-efficacy, and ultimately well-being. And it was the only type of abuse that could be practiced either surreptitiously, under the radar, or overtly, openly. So very often narcissistic abuse masquerades in a variety of ways. It becomes gaslighting, becomes ambient abuse. The narcissist uses other people, which I coined another phrase to describe. I called them flying monkeys. So this type of abuse co-opts, recruits an entire community to do its bidding. It's not isolated like other types of abuse where there's a one-on-one abusive interaction, rejection, humiliation, physical abuse, verbal abuse. It's an integrated network approach to abuse. Everything becomes weaponized. Everything is used against the victim. People in the victim's life, the victim's family, friends, workplace, associations, interests, hobbies, fears, hopes, priorities, wishes. Confidential information shared in moments of intimacy. This information is weaponized as well, is used against the victim at a later stage. I keep saying victim because while in the throes of narcissistic abuse, within a shared fantasy, within a shared psychotic space, the prey is immobilized. It's like these animals in nature who first inject the prey with poison, paralytic poison, nerve agent. The prey is immobilized. It is a freeze response. It's incapable of flight, incapable of fight. It just freezes there like a deer with the headlights. Only much later, victims can become survivors. But even then, they carry the abuse with them in a variety of ways, which is the topic of today's paper. The victims of narcissistic abuse appeared at the time when I coined the phrase and was the first to describe this type of abuse. They appear to present a clinical picture substantially different to victims of other, more pinpointed, more goal-oriented types of abuse. The victims of narcissistic abuse were more depressed, more anxious, much more disoriented, aggressive. There was defiant reactance. They took on traits and behaviors which are typical of narcissists and psychopaths. Defensively, they became dissociative, so they showed all kinds of dissociative symptoms, such as depersonalization, derealization, or even amnesia. And all of them felt trapped. They felt trapped or hopeless. In other words, they have acquired learned helplessness which was inculcated into them via intermittent reinforcement, via operant conditioning. They were in the throes of trauma bonding, the famous Stockholm syndrome. It was a kind of cultish shared psychosis or shared psychotic disorder, folie à deux. Repeated abuse has long-lasting, very long-lasting, pernicious and traumatic effects, such as panic attacks, hypervigilance, sleep disturbances, flashbacks, intrusive memories, suicidal ideation, and psychosomatic symptoms. All these have been amply documented over the past at least 70 years, if not 100 years. The victims experience shame, depression, anxiety, embarrassment, guilt, humiliation, abandonment, and an enhanced sense of vulnerability. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, complex trauma, complex PTSD has been proposed as a new mental health diagnosis at the time by Dr. Judith Herman of Harvard University to account for the impact of extended periods of trauma and abuse. Classic PTSD is, of course, a reaction to a single harrowing, shattering external shock. Complex PTSD or complex trauma is a reaction.
Oh, hey, what's up, Raj? Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to check something here. I'm trying to fix my phone issue here. Okay.
To repeated shocks, however minor. In the article Stalking, an overview of the problem, published in the Canadian Journal of Psychiatry, 1998, volume 43, pages 473, 476. In that article, authors Karen Abrams and Gail Ehrlich Robinson wrote the following.
Okay, so what it's doing is it's doing the two-step verification, right? But it's saying check your Galaxy A03s, and that's this phone. It's supposed to be asking for a different phone.
Sometimes the victim develops an almost fatal resolve that inevitably one day she will be murdered. That's the secondary or paranoid ideation. The victims unable to live a normal life describe feeling stripped of self-worth and self-dignity. Personal control and resources, psychosocial development, social support, pre-morbid personality traits, and the severity of the stress may all influence how the victim experiences and responds to the abuse. Victims stalked by ex-lovers may experience additional guilt and lowered self-esteem for perceived poor judgment in their relationship choices. Many victims become isolated and deprived of support when employers or friends, or I add family members, withdraw after also being subjected to harassment, or when they are cut off by the victim in order to protect them. Other tangible consequences include financial losses from quitting jobs, moving and buying expensive security equipment in an attempt to gain privacy. Changing homes and jobs results in both material losses and a loss of self-respect. Now, this particular article deals with stalking, but many of the effects and the impacts described here are very common in cases of narcissistic abuse, and one could even argue that narcissistic abuse is much closer to stalking, paranoid, dangerous stalking, than to classic abuse. Surprisingly, verbal, psychological, and emotional abuse have the same effects as the physical variety. I refer you to Psychology Today, the September-October 2000 issue, page 24. Abuse of all kinds also interferes with the victim's ability to work. Abrams and Robinson wrote this in the article Occupational Effects of Stalking in the Canadian Journal of Psychiatry, 2002, volume 47, pages 468-472. They wrote, being stalked by a former partner may affect a victim's ability to work in three ways. First, the stalking behaviors often interfere directly with the ability to get to work. For example, flattening tires or other methods of preventing leaving the home. Second, the workplace may become an unsafe location if the offender decides to appear there. Third, the mental health effects of such trauma may result in forgetfulness, fatigue, lowered concentration.
This was the worst year ever. After my divorce, I felt like I couldn't trust.
The term narcissist is thrown around a lot these days, and it's kind of used to describe people who have any sort of narcissistic traits or somebody we think is too much. But it's actually a diagnosable personality disorder that somewhere around 10% of the population have. And there's a form called covert narcissist, which is very unrecognized. Even professionals sometimes have a hard time spotting a covert narcissist. So I'm going to dive into the traits of a covert narcissist and sort of what to keep an eye out for, because these relationships can be very damaging. And if it is what you're dealing with, if you are dealing with a covert narcissist, it's super important to know that, to understand a little bit the mind of a narcissist, so you can figure out the best way to function and move forward without being harmed by the relationship. So, what's a covert narcissist versus a regular narcissist? So, what I first want to say is that both fully meet the criteria that's in the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic manual that psychotherapists, psychologists use to deal with people. So even if somebody is a covert narcissist, they match the criteria. So in general, for somebody to qualify as a narcissist, they lack empathy. They have an overblown sense of entitlement. Usually relationships are pretty superficial. They can take advantage of others for their own personal gain. They might hyper-focus on kind of fantasies of grandeur. And in general, there's a resistance to acknowledge that I'm the problem in any way. So again, these are shared by covert and overt narcissists. The difference is not so much in terms of how they think, but how they manifest. The word covert means hidden or secret. So the overt narcissist